Alrighty, guys. So it is 3:30, time to wrap it up for today. It is Friday, January 17th, and we've got a sloppy market, I have to say. A nice little move here after the London close to the upside, but since after it hit that 2 o'clock hour, it pulled back a little bit ahead of that, and then just been kind of sloppy afterwards. I've been looking at this. I've been looking at the Nasdaq, and it has been an exercise in futility trying to do something. Unless you want to, if you're thinking continuation to the long side, which is not by any means an unexpected move, right? When you're looking at if you say do this, and you see that it's kind of had been it pulled back a little bit from that London close and then started heading higher. Looked to me like they had a shot at trading higher. They failed to take out the highs and stay there. Remember, they're up here against this upper area of resistance and then just fading off a bit. But for a while there, it felt, at least on the Nasdaq, it's not as obvious, but still that they were trying to take this higher. They kind of failed on that, but so far they haven't fallen apart and started selling off either. So I would say we are a sloppy trading day to the upside, and we were looking for early strength to get short. And so far, those shorts hasn't quite developed to anything. They just traded up to resistance and that's kind of holding here. So no major selling or bear market activity or anything like that happening. So I would say we are in a good spot to potentially break out on the come next week. Now remember, tomorrow the room is not open on Monday. I'm not going to open it on Monday. It's a half trading day. We close early. It's Martin Luther King Day inauguration, but the market closes at 1 Eastern. It's going to be probably a short day. And we don't really get a whole lot of the action until after the executive orders, all that stuff is over with, and we start seeing some policy changes. That's when the market is going to start showing some action. So I think market is modestly optimistic about the whole thing, heading higher. We are right up here against resistance. So key area, and they have not taken it out. They just up there flirting with it, trying to get it out. So we're in a good spot. And if they can hold on to this and in the overnight potentially take it higher, or maybe even after they close now, move it higher, we'll take it. Now, we are still in a spot where a short trade can set up, right? We can still have a nice short trade develop here at the 6,040 up to the 45s for a pretty good rotation right back here to that mode at the 59.85s. So either way can go. Right now we're just here up against the edge. And for the day session, I mean, I show you Nasdaq had a much better setup or a much better dynamic going for a while there, but the ES kind of sloppy. But we are up against resistance, so I would start off from the long side, looking to buy weakness, see if they can punch through. Just be mindful if this could set up a nice short trade for a pretty good rotation down, just depending on news and depending on what happens beginning next week, right? So that's kind of where we start off. We did not take out the 15s on the way down, so we no major selling. They did take out the 40s, but not quite. They just kind of moseyed around a little bit from the downside. I thought they had a pretty good shot at heading lower here in the last half of the day, or the last half hour of the day, if they took out the 40s. But so far, it looks like they're stubbornly holding on to it. So, and when this started happening, I figured, okay, here we go. But you can see here, there's a massive fake out to the downside. Massive fake out balance bar. If you got short on that one, you would just get crushed. So that's what I mean with sloppy trading. No follow through on anything. It's just reactions, big moves, and then reversals. So, and it's difficult because the edges are not well behaved at all here. It's just they're all over the place. So I have not put on any trade on anything today just because of that. So anyway, so I was looking for a short setup against resistance. That was the default start of the day. For a while there, I was considering the long side, but on the ES, they're right in resistance. So getting long for a bigger trade, it just didn't feel right. On the Nasdaq, though, let me show you that. On the Nasdaq, it certainly looked better. So if you look at the Nasdaq here to the upside, and what I'm talking about here is really this, right? So you started here after the London close, it'll pull back, fine. And then it started this nice rally. It took out that high of the at the 11:30 hour, and then some. A nice rally here to the upside. And this here got me thinking that, okay, maybe they're going to try to do something here. But you can see here, they ran it right up here, and then they started failing, and then just kind of failed. And then I was looking for a potential long trade on the pullback here, but as I said, I mean, getting long on the and when it starts trading higher, I've made that mistake a few times. That's a little bit too aggressive. I'm going to wait a little bit more than that. Turned out that there was no reversal there. They just ran it lower here, right into this area of congestion, and then look at this slop, right, back and forth, back and forth. So for a while there, as I was thinking about the long side of the market on the Nasdaq, I was thinking of buying in a pullback, but you can see the bought reversal and then complete knockdown, up, knockdown, up, knockdown. So I would have been one of those days I would have lost a ton of money. So my thought process was not in sync with what this market was just sloppy. So range bound trading, fade edges back to the mean is the dynamic for the day. If you try to get on the long side for a move higher, do what had to be get pretty good trade location, but nothing really has materialized. Early on, it did going into that 1 o'clock hour. Nice little moves to the upside. So as I said, no action on my part. Every time I'm looking at it, trying to figure out what it's doing, it seems to be doing the opposite or going back and forth and churning. So I just kind of stayed out of it. And sometimes that is the right decision, you know. You don't have to take a trade during the day. It's if you get your head in sync with the market and really get the gist what it's trying to do, being more aggressive makes sense. But as if you're thinking long side of the market and you start seeing this and it just this churn back and forth, it just, you know, it just sets you up for failure because you're trying to go with the trade pullback, get on the pullback for a move higher, and it's if you get on the pullback, they run it lower than you think. If you get on late on the reversal, they just reverse it right back at you. So difficult stuff. I hope you did anything today when it had better luck than that today, but today for me was a dud, complete dud. I did not put on any trades. Buying weakness, the only thing you got early on was the 21,500, but you can see the move up here, the little rally we have going before the open, that really set the stage, you know. You got people thinking about the long side of the market, and then they just kind of ran out of gas and pretty much been going range bound ever since. You can see the high on the pre-market is higher than the day session. So sloppy trading. It's still to the upside though, so I would start range bound and start with a slight bias to the upside, see if they can move this higher. Nasdaq has a little bit more range to go before they hit these areas of resistance. This 21,700 to 800. So here these areas of resistance. So here 685, 730, 800. So these are the better areas of resistance, but they kind of haven't really challenged those today. So I'm thinking that we may have more upside in this. And then we obviously have a potential rumor fact situation going into the first week of the new presidency. If it's going to be buy the rumor, sell the fact kind of dynamic. I think we passed that though. I don't think that's going to be a big dynamic. I think more the executive orders which is going to come up and the policy changes, how the market digests that is probably going to be the bigger dynamic or cross currents happening next week. So next week is going to be one crazy week for sure. Looking at the bond market has been backed off, yield backed off a bit. The price has been on the upside, but they're settling in right at that 113 level. And where is that? Yeah, so you know it's right. Oh, come on. There you go. They're right here at that at this edge right there. So this four little edge, there was resistance on the way up, and now they are support, but yes, they're trading building value. So if they can hold that 113 level, we may still trade back up again. But if not, we're probably heading right back down again on the bond market. So watch that 113 level. That's going to be important to hold that. And then finally, oil and gold. Oil and gold. Oil, it's just been range bound in a holding pattern. And as I keep saying, wait for next week and then expect prices to start heading lower, at least maybe on expectations. We'll see how much they have in terms of how much expectation versus policy they're going to do on that one. But the overall policy change is going to drive these prices down. So there's going to be lower prices on oil. The question is just in what format that happens. But then we'll start range bound going into next week and see what happens. On gold, nice short, right? So you had that short potential setup up here. We talked about it. We had the attract at 27.50. They started off with a bias to the upside to see if you can retest these, the 47s and the 55, 56s. And we got a nice retest of the 55, 56 and failure, and right back down we went. So if you got on that trade and had a lot of patience, you had a nice move to the downside on gold. That's unusually nice. So they were drifting lower at a pretty good clip, but that was a nice setup. So it's just a matter of being able to get in and stick with it. But you know, I think the right now we are still range bound around that 2750 area, just testing the edges. So I would expect them to trade back up towards the 50s here and kind of stay range bound. All right, so that's gold. Back to the ES. So ES and Nasdaq for next week. I'm thinking range bound and probably a bias to the upside to get started to see if they can retest these highs, potentially take it higher. Just be mindful. ES is up against a pretty good resistance edge, and if that holds, we could certainly see a nice rotation down. And Nasdaq probably a little bit more to go on the upside before they run into that resistance. But next week, just expect a lot of volatility as they digest new policies and what that fallout is going to be like. So going to be a lot of volatility next week. Alrighty, guys, we'll wrap it there. You guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you back at probably on Tuesday, bright and early on Tuesday morning. Alrighty, guys, later.